Hi there, Andrew Lessman here, and I guess once again, Happy New Year, Happy 2018. Hopefully everyone is behaving well and on their healthy eating plan or whatever their New Year's resolutions might be. Maybe they're going to bed earlier. And because you might be going to bed earlier, you won't be up at midnight to watch the Today Special. And this Today Special is often at the very top of the list of my favorite reorder products, or the favorite reorder products that we have. It's our circulation and vein support for healthy legs. Reading the reviews for this product are some of the most inspiring, passionate, emotional reviews you could ever imagine. Before I come to do the shows, what we're going to do is do a little bit of research, and I'm going to look for the use of certain expressions, things like miracle, life-changing. Those are the sorts of normal descriptions that folks have for this product. But it really isn't a miracle. It's just very straightforward, natural science. Yes, it is science, but it's natural science. And there's great clinical research and clinical science that support the use of this product. It really deals with what is perhaps one of the most defining characteristics of the human experience, that we walk upright. And when we walk upright, unfortunately, that means that the circulatory tissues in our lower extremities are going to be challenged. And the way we live, we spend too much time sitting, too much time standing. We don't exercise as much. Most of us are now overweight or obese. We don't eat necessarily the right food. So the blood vessels in our feet, ankles, and calves are just challenged, uncomfortable, unpleasant, unattractive. And most people think it is simply a byproduct of their lifestyle, perhaps their body composition, or their genetics. Getting older, it's just the way it is. But you need to read the reviews of this product, because that is not the case. That there absolutely is something you can do. And our today's special today is that something you can do. It's a product that I introduced almost 20 years ago. There was no other company making a product like it in America. There really is still no company making something quite like it. We really took a page out of the clinical research and clinical science in Europe back at that time with an ingredient called diosmin. We've improved it with pine bark extract. We've improved it with butcher's broom extract, which we've actually added more butcher's broom for this special, today's special version, because the clinical science and research on butcher's broom extract now rivals the diosmin. So this is a product that is 5-10 times better than when I introduced it. It's higher potency, it's more comprehensive, it's even more effective. And it's a product that is virtually perfectly reviewed. We're talking about a product with thousands upon thousands of reviews, and approximately 85% of the reviews, I believe, might be more, are 5-star reviews, and that well over 90% of the reviews are positive reviews. And this is, mind you, for a product that most people think there's nothing you can do, that it's just part of the aging. It's my mom experienced the same thing, or my grandma experienced the same thing, that we just think that there's nothing we can do about how our feet, ankles, and calves feel as we've aged, or just at the end of the day. It perhaps saps our energy, our inspiration. So many folks have reviewed this product as being the key difference maker in a New Year's resolution that related to exercise. And certainly when it comes to exercise, that tends to challenge the tissues when we exercise, because the largest muscles in our body, our opportunity to actually burn calories, are located in the lower half of our body. So to the extent we could mobilize those muscles, which require that we deliver oxygen and nutrients via our circulation and carry away those waste products, to the extent we could do that comfortably and efficiently, we're going to benefit from exercise, feel better about exercise. And that's so many folks who are inspired about exercise because their circulation just can't keep up with their inspiration. They tend to fall off the wagon. They don't tend to continue. And for those folks who have seen visible changes in the way their veins and blood vessels look in their legs, you need to read the reviews on this product. Or just your feet don't fit into the same shoes anymore, or you have to wear certain support hose or things like that. That's your body giving you a clear message that this is a product that can deliver benefits. And I say it not as someone who wants you to purchase my product, but as someone who wants you to derive the benefits of this product. Because if you don't derive the benefits, I would insist that you return it. But this is a product that there's absolutely, you read the reviews, the compelling science, the compelling experience. I'm someone who I love the science, and the science is what allowed me to produce this formula. But for you, perhaps more than the science, which I'll talk about when I'm on TV, perhaps more than the science is an opportunity to make a difference in your experience. And that's where the reviews come in, because the reviews are nothing other than experience. We often mistakenly call the reviews on my products testimonials. We call them that because of all of my products. We have, I think, getting close to 70,000 reviews. And of those reviews, over 90% are positive. So it's very easy to start considering them testimonials when they're as compelling as they are for all of my products. And certainly this product has probably the most compelling, the most inspiring, the most convincing reviews of any product I make. And something I often have to repeat when people read the reviews on a product like this: we don't remove the bad reviews. Yeah, there are bad reviews there. And funnily enough, most of the bad reviews pertain to a damaged shipment or things that have nothing to do with the product. But this is a product that just, of say, every 100 people who use the product, 97 of them are writing glowingly positive reviews. So this product is nothing more than an opportunity to make a difference in an area where most of us don't believe we can, that we just think it's not available. That the way our feet, ankles, and calves age have been determined by our genetics, our parents, our gifts from our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, and determined by our body composition, perhaps our body weight, and our other issues. Many women have found after they've had children, after pregnancy, that has dramatically or significantly challenged the blood vessels and circulation in their feet, ankles, and calves, in their legs. There are so many reviews that speak exactly to that point. And the one thing, we are physiologically, we're all anatomically unique. But despite everything that makes us unique, we all share the basic, similar, or basically identical anatomy or physiology. We all have our unique differences, of course, and this is a product that speaks to the common physiology, the common anatomy in terms of our blood vessels in our feet, ankles, and calves. So whether it's the appearance of those tissues which have become unattractive with the passage of time, or whether it's the discomfort that comes at the end of the day, or that it has accompanied other health issues we might have, because many of us have a number of different health challenges that we didn't choose, but we're sort of unfortunately stuck with them, and we do the very best we can. Sometimes the medications we take for those challenges adversely affect the circulation, the blood vessels in our feet, ankles, and calves, and sometimes it exacerbates those conditions. So again, this is a product that is not a drug. It is not a medicine. What it is, it's a natural tool that naturally support the health, the tone, the structure of those tissues. And again, I encourage everyone to read the reviews, and I'll be quoting the science throughout the day. I'll be going through the science. I'll be quoting things that are from very reputable, reliable clinical medical journals talking about the ingredients in this product. And again, if you want to see where these ingredients sort of have life breathed in them, then I encourage you to read the reviews. I introduced this product, as I said, almost 20 years ago. And all we have done in that time is increased its potency, made it more comprehensive, made it more effective. And today the price is the lowest it's ever been. This is a product that, despite being higher potency and more comprehensive, is less expensive than when I introduced it almost 20 years ago. So it's a great opportunity to make a difference in an area that really is somewhat defining of the quality of our life. I often talk about things like our sleep, our ability to be comfortable, our ability to get around comfortably as being sort of determinative issues, or determinative factors in the quality of our life. And the comfort of our legs, our lower extremities, our ability to walk around comfortably, to do our jobs, whatever our jobs might be. If you work in retail or in food service, if you might be a nurse. And for a while, we used to always call this a nurse's product because it seems when we'd get calls on air or we'd read our initial reviews, there were just countless nurses that were talking about how demanding their job is in terms of their feet, ankles, and calves and their legs, and what a difference, what a profound difference this product has made. So throughout the day, it's going to be our best price ever. For those of you who wonder if you're going to be able to see a difference in 30 days, no question. This is a product that you take 2 capsules a day. Some people take 3, but really just 2 capsules. That's all I take. 2 capsules a day is all you need, and you'll have ample time to see a difference in 30 days. Many people report with this product feeling a difference, seeing a difference, noticing a difference in just a matter of a few days. You could read those reviews yourself. So it's an opportunity to enjoy a product that effectively is just less expensive than it was when we introduced it in the last millennia, and an opportunity to see a difference in an area that might determine a little bit of our self-esteem, the clothing we might choose to wear, whether we're going to be wanting to go out, be active, go to the movies, go out dancing, go to dinner. Because at the end of the day, depending on how our feet, ankles, and calves feel, generally we just want to get horizontal. We want to elevate them, and we don't really feel like doing much of anything. So a great opportunity. I'm thrilled always to talk about the science on the product, to read the reviews. But for me, I just love the science, and that's what I'll be spending most of the day talking about, the black and white science that you could read that gives you insights into how significant a difference this product could make. And for me, I know the difference it can make for just having read all the reviews and seeing the experience on this product. So I encourage you, take advantage of this once-a-year opportunity. Our Today Special, it's basically half its normal price. So an opportunity to see a difference